What if I told you that right now, sitting quietly on the shelves of your local grocery store, there's a food that contains 10 times more protein than eggs? Yes, you heard that right, 10 times. Now, think about that for a moment. Imagine the difference it could make for you, or for an elderly parent, grandparent, or even a dear friend who's starting to feel weaker with age. You've probably noticed it before, small changes that don't seem so serious at first. Maybe it's your loved one getting tired just walking across the room. Maybe it's them skipping meals, pushing the plate away, or saying, "I'm just not hungry." Or maybe it's the slow loss of that strength they once had in their hands, their arms, or their legs. And here's the thing, when you see these changes, it's easy to brush them off. To say, "Oh, it's just old age," or "they're just slowing down." But what if it's not just that? What if the real reason behind those struggles is something as simple and as fixable as not getting enough protein? You see, for older adults, protein is not just about building muscles like we once thought when we were young. Protein is about so much more. It's about maintaining independence. It's about healing from illnesses faster. It's about having enough energy to get out of bed in the morning, to think clearly, to walk without falling, and to live with dignity. And yet, most seniors are not getting nearly enough of it. They eat foods that fill their stomachs but don't fuel their bodies. They lean on bread, rice, or tea, but forget the nutrients that truly keep them alive and strong. That's why what I'm about to share with you in this video is so important. Because knowing the right foods to eat can literally change the quality of your life, or the life of someone you love. So, here's what we're going to do together today. I'm going to reveal to you this surprising, protein-packed food that beats eggs by a landslide. We'll break down why protein is one of the most powerful tools for healthy aging, and I'll show you simple, everyday ways you can start adding this food, and other hidden protein-rich options, into your meals without stress. But before we dive deeper, I want you to be part of this conversation. Comment below and tell me, what's your favorite high-protein food? Is it eggs, chicken, beans, or something else? I'd love to know. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Advice for Life, because every week we share life-changing tips that can help you or your loved ones live stronger, longer, and with the dignity you deserve. Most of us grew up believing that eggs were the perfect food. For many families, eggs were a staple at breakfast, scrambled, boiled, or fried. And it's true, eggs are a remarkable source of nutrition. They're packed with vitamins, healthy fats, and they've long been called nature's gold standard protein. Even today, many doctors recommend eggs for older adults because they're easy to prepare, easy to chew, and gentle on the stomach. But here's where things get interesting. An average egg contains about 6 grams of protein. And while that sounds good, let's put it into perspective. For younger adults, that might be enough for a quick start to the day. But for seniors, the body's relationship with protein changes dramatically. As we age, we lose muscle mass much faster than we realize. This gradual decline is called sarcopenia, and it's one of the biggest silent threats to independence in older adults. You might notice it in little ways, like struggling to carry groceries, finding it harder to climb stairs, or feeling unusually tired after doing something as simple as walking across the room. That isn't just getting old. It's the body quietly asking for more support, more fuel, more protein. Here's the challenge. Even if a senior eats 1 or 2 eggs in the morning, that's only 6 to 12 grams of protein. But an average older adult often needs 60, 70, or even more grams spread throughout the day. That means 1 egg or even 2 barely scratches the surface. It's like trying to fill a bucket of water with just a single spoonful. It simply isn't enough. And yet, so many families assume that giving their loved one an egg at breakfast is covering their nutritional needs. They see their parent eat that egg and think, great, they're getting their protein. But the truth is that's far from reality. That 1 egg is not nearly enough to protect muscle strength, prevent fatigue, or keep the immune system strong. Now, don't get me wrong, eggs are still valuable. They're affordable, they're versatile, and they're nutritious. But they should be seen as part of the bigger picture, not the whole picture. The mistake is in assuming eggs alone can do the job. So if eggs aren't enough, the question becomes, what food out there could possibly have 10 times the protein? What food could truly change the game for seniors, giving them the strength, energy, and resilience they need to live life on their own terms? That's exactly what we're about to uncover. Now, if I were to ask you what food could possibly carry 10 times the protein of an egg, most people would immediately think of steak, chicken, or maybe a slab of fresh fish. After all, those are the foods we've always been told to eat when we need protein, right? But here's the surprise. It isn't meat. It isn't dairy. In fact, it isn't even something most people think of as food in the traditional sense. The answer is something far less obvious, and yet far more powerful. It's called spirulina. Spirulina is a type of blue-green algae that grows naturally in both fresh and salt water. For centuries, certain cultures have used it as a food source, but only recently has modern science caught up and revealed just how extraordinary it really is. And here's the shocking part. Gram for gram, spirulina is one of the richest protein sources on the planet. While an egg offers around 6 grams of protein, spirulina is made up of 60 to 70% protein by weight. That means ounce for ounce, it contains 10 times more protein than eggs. Let that sink in. A simple spoonful of this nutrient-dense algae can deliver an amount of protein that makes eggs look like a small appetizer. Just 1 tablespoon gives about 4 grams of protein, but because of how concentrated it is, the body absorbs it more efficiently. For seniors who may not be able to eat large meals, this is a game changer. But protein isn't the only gift spirulina brings. It's also packed with essential nutrients like B vitamins, which boost energy, iron, which supports healthy blood and prevents anemia, and antioxidants, which protect aging cells from damage. All of this means spirulina doesn't just build muscle. It helps preserve immunity, supports brain health, and keeps energy levels steady throughout the day. And here's where many people are misled. Most families believe that the only way to give seniors real protein is through meat, dairy, or eggs. They imagine that if it's not a steak or a piece of chicken, it can't possibly be powerful. But spirulina turns that belief upside down. It shows us that sometimes the most powerful foods don't come from the farmyard, they come from nature in its simplest, purest form. So here's the exciting part. Spirulina is no longer some rare, exotic product. You don't have to travel far to find it. It's available in most health stores, and often even in regular grocery aisles in powder or tablet form. You can mix it into smoothies, sprinkle it on soups, or even stir it into a glass of water. And because it's so concentrated, you only need a little to make a big difference. But here's the best news of all, spirulina isn't the only hidden protein powerhouse. In fact, there's another source of rich, senior-friendly protein that you may already have sitting quietly in your pantry, waiting to be used. Now, spirulina might sound almost too good to be true, and while it is incredibly powerful, it's not the only answer. The beauty of nutrition is that nature has given us more than one option. And some of these options are right in your kitchen already, waiting to be used. Let's take lentils for example. Imagine a warm, comforting bowl of lentil soup on a rainy afternoon. For many cultures around the world, lentils have been a symbol of comfort, nourishment, and even celebration. But behind that simple, familiar dish lies a nutritional secret. 1 cup of cooked lentils contains around 18 grams of protein. That's 3 times the protein of an egg, plus something else that seniors desperately need, fiber. Why does that matter? Because digestion becomes slower and more sensitive as we age. Constipation, bloating, and indigestion are struggles many older adults deal with quietly every day. Lentils don't just deliver protein. They bring along soluble fiber that keeps the digestive system moving, helps balance blood sugar, and even lowers cholesterol. For someone worried about heart disease or diabetes, a bowl of lentils isn't just food, it's protection. And lentils aren't alone. Quinoa, for instance, is another tiny but mighty food. These little seeds cook up fluffy like rice, but unlike rice, they contain all 9 essential amino acids, making them a complete protein. For seniors who may be eating less meat, quinoa is an easy way to fill in the gaps without stressing the stomach. And then there's Greek yogurt. Unlike regular yogurt, it's strained to remove excess liquid, which makes it creamy, rich, and incredibly protein-dense. A single cup of Greek yogurt can carry 15 to 20 grams of protein. It's smooth, it's easy to eat, and it can be dressed up with fruit or honey, making it both nourishing and enjoyable. Plus, it brings along probiotics which support gut health and immunity, 2 areas that weaken as we get older. What's powerful about these foods, lentils, quinoa, Greek yogurt, is that they're all accessible. They don't require complicated recipes or expensive supplements. You can add lentils into stews or casseroles, serve quinoa as a side dish instead of plain rice, or swap sugary desserts for a bowl of Greek yogurt topped with fresh berries. Even spirulina, which we talked about earlier, can be blended into a morning smoothie or stirred into oatmeal without changing the flavor much. It's not about replacing one food with another, it's about creating variety and balance. Eggs can still be part of the diet, but pairing them with these other protein sources ensures seniors get the strength, energy, and resilience their bodies truly need. But that raises an important question. How much protein should seniors really be aiming for each day to stay strong, prevent weakness, and keep their independence as long as possible? So here's the big question. Just how much protein does a senior truly need each day? Most people think the answer is small. After all, the common belief is that as we age, we eat less, we need less, and we should be careful not to overdo it. But the truth is very different. Science now tells us that seniors actually need more protein per pound of body weight than younger adults do. Why? Because the body becomes less efficient at processing and using protein as the years go by. What used to be enough at 40 or 50 no longer covers the body's needs at 70 or 80. The general guideline is about 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day. To put that into simple terms, let's imagine a senior weighing around 70 kilograms, that's about 154 pounds. They would need somewhere between 70 and 85 grams of protein daily. That's not one egg. That's not even 2 eggs. That's a consistent intake spread across the entire day. Now here's where the misconception comes in. Many families assume that since their loved one is eating less overall, they only need a little protein here and there. A slice of toast with butter in the morning, a light bowl of soup at lunch, and maybe a little rice at dinner. It feels comforting, it feels gentle. But in reality, it's silently weakening the body. Without enough protein, muscles shrink, bones weaken, the immune system falters, and even the mind begins to feel foggy. But here's the hopeful part. Meeting protein needs doesn't have to be overwhelming or complicated. The secret is not in piling it all into one meal, but in spreading it out evenly throughout the day. Think of it like fueling a fire. If you dump all the wood in at once, it burns fast and then fizzles out. But if you feed the fire little by little, it keeps burning steady and strong. That's exactly how protein works in the body. Instead of trying to get all the protein at dinner, encourage seniors to have some at breakfast. Maybe an egg paired with Greek yogurt or even a small protein smoothie. At lunch, add lentils, beans, or quinoa to the meal. And at dinner, include a piece of fish, chicken, or a hearty plant-based option. Even small snacks like a handful of nuts or a spoonful of cottage cheese can make a big difference. And here's something powerful to remember. These little adjustments don't just add years to life, they add life to years. They help seniors feel stronger, steadier, and more capable of doing the everyday things that bring joy and dignity. So the next question is, how do we turn this knowledge into simple, daily habits that protect health without overwhelming seniors or making them feel pressured? So now that you know how much protein seniors really need, the next step is figuring out how to make it practical. How to weave it into daily life in a way that feels natural, not overwhelming. Because let's be honest, food should never feel like a burden. It should feel like comfort, like care, like nourishment for the body and the soul. One of the simplest ways to start is with spirulina. And no, you don't have to eat it by the spoonful. A little goes a long way. Stir a small scoop of spirulina powder into a morning smoothie. Blend it with banana, a bit of yogurt, maybe some berries. The taste is gentle and the color is beautiful. But what matters most is that you've just slipped a concentrated dose of protein and nutrients into your day without much effort at all. You can even sprinkle it into oatmeal or stir it into a warm bowl of soup. It blends in quietly, almost invisibly, but the benefits are powerful. And then, of course, there are eggs. Eggs still have their place. They're affordable, easy to prepare, and familiar, but instead of thinking of eggs as the main event, think of them as part of a team. Boil a few eggs and keep them ready in the fridge as quick snacks. Pair that egg with something else. A small bowl of beans, a spoonful of Greek yogurt, or even a slice of whole grain toast topped with cottage cheese. Suddenly, that 6 grams of protein from the egg has turned into a balanced, satisfying mini meal. This is where the idea of protein buddies comes in. Seniors don't always feel like sitting down for large meals 3 times a day. Sometimes the appetite just isn't there. But offering small, frequent, protein-rich snacks can make all the difference. A little here, a little there, and before you know it, the body has everything it needs to stay strong. It's not about forcing huge plates of food. It's about creating gentle, consistent nourishment. A spoon of Greek yogurt in the morning, a handful of nuts in the afternoon, lentil soup at lunch, a small piece of fish at dinner. When you spread it out, the body has time to absorb and use it. And here's a question I want you to think about, and I truly want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Should seniors really be replacing eggs with foods like spirulina? Or should they be combining them, creating a mix of old and new, traditional and modern? Because in the end, food is personal. It's cultural. It's emotional. And sometimes the best solutions are not about replacing but about blending the best of both worlds. Watching a parent or a grandparent slowly lose their strength can feel like time itself is slipping through your hands. Every stumble, every struggle to rise from a chair, every sigh of fatigue. It isn't just their body you see changing, it's a reminder of how fragile life can be. And that is a heavy weight for any family to carry. But here's the truth that brings light into that heaviness. You are not powerless. Instead of sitting back and feeling helpless, you now hold knowledge that can shift the story. Something as small, as ordinary as adjusting their daily protein intake can become a shield, a way to protect their independence, their dignity, and their sense of self. Think about that for a moment. Independence is everything in our later years. It's the difference between needing help with every task and being able to move through the day with confidence. And protein, this one nutrient, plays a massive role in holding on to that independence. It helps keep muscles strong, bones supported, energy steady, and the immune system resilient. So here is where the responsibility gently falls into your hands. Look at your loved one's daily meals with fresh eyes. Ask yourself, are they truly getting enough protein? Not just a single egg at breakfast, not just a spoon of beans at lunch, but enough across the whole day to fuel their body? If the answer is no, then today, right now, is the very best time to start making small, meaningful changes. And here's the hope I want to leave you with. Caring for someone in their later years will never be easy. It will test your patience, your strength, and sometimes even your spirit. But it is also one of the most powerful acts of love any of us can give. And it doesn't always take grand, complicated gestures. Even the simplest choices, like adding a scoop of spirulina, preparing a small bowl of lentils, or keeping protein-rich snacks within reach, can add years of strength, of mobility, of joy. Because in the end, it's not just about food. It's about giving them the chance to live with energy, with independence, and with the dignity they deserve. And that, perhaps, is the greatest gift you can give. So let's take a moment to bring everything together. We started with eggs, the gold standard of protein. They're simple, nourishing, and familiar, but for seniors they're often not enough. That's where hidden treasures like spirulina step in, packing 10 times the protein gram for gram. And then there are everyday comfort foods like lentils, quinoa, or Greek yogurt, foods that don't just fuel the body but also comfort the heart and soul. Together, these options give you the tools to protect strength, energy, and independence in the later years of life. Here's what I want you to remember. Seniors need more protein than most people think. Not less. More. And the smartest way to support their body isn't to load it all at once but to spread it gently across the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even small snacks in between. That rhythm keeps their muscles nourished, their energy steady, and their health resilient. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Out of the foods we've talked about today, which one feels the most doable for your family? Would you start with something familiar like eggs? Would you be curious enough to try spirulina? Or would you go for a hearty bowl of lentils? Share your answer in the comments below. Your ideas might just inspire someone else who's watching this. And if this message touched you, if it gave you even one practical step that you can carry into your loved one's life, then please take a second to subscribe to Elderly Advice for Life. This channel is here to guide you with simple, practical, and heart-centered tips that help seniors live not just longer but stronger, holding on to their dignity, their energy, and their joy. Thank you for spending this time with me today. It shows that you care deeply about the people you love, and that in itself is powerful. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember, you're not alone on this journey. I'll see you in the next video.